Everyone, today we are going to explain what we learned in the School Innovation Challenge.
So, we are going to talk about why do we need problem solvers. So, let us take an example. Now, a girl Jyoti, who is 11 years old, is facing a problem. Can you guys guess what the problem is? Problem ignorance. So, Jyoti saw the problem as a difficulty for her family member and started and thought of an idea. She called the municipal people and she told them to take away the trash. They took the trash away and Jyoti created a dustbin, which is like a basketball hoop. Whenever we throw trash in it, the score will increase. So, Jyoti is also known as a problem solver. So, we need a problem solver in our day-to-day life. Like, there are many problem solvers in our own world. Like, many of you know problem solving in community, RF. So, RF is a boy. He's also a school boy who was going to his school and found out and saw his neighbor through the window who is handicapped. He didn't have one hand. So, he was trying to get he was trying to put the buttons and his wife came in between and helped him put the buttons. RF thought, why couldn't people put their buttons with only one hand? So, he thought of many ideas. Later, he found out an idea. He took a magnet and attached them both. Then he thought, why couldn't I replace the buttons instead of magnets? So he removed the buttons of the shirt and replaced them with magnets. After replacing them with magnets, he gave it to the school teacher. The school teacher approved of that idea and told him to give the shirt to the neighbor. After giving the shirt, the neighbor was very happy. And this is how RF solved the problem of the people with handicap. So, if you face any problem, you need to think of many ideas. You may come in many up and down hills. So, you need to find out the problem and solve that problem easily. And if you do that one thing, you're a problem solver.
Let's come to know how a problem solver solves the problem. There are basically 3 steps here how a problem solver solves the problem. The first step is finding a problem. Now, without a problem solver cannot solve the problem. He needs a problem. So, it sometimes happens that he doesn't find the problem. So, where we can find the problem is you can visit the places that you go frequently, like bus stand or the metro train platform. There are many problem solvers also in the world. Find the best problem that suits you. When you find the best problem that suits you, you can easily solve it and go on to the next problem and improve the idea. Understanding the problem. Now, it is a very important aspect of the mind where if you don't understand the problem which you are solving, you cannot solve the problem. Because without understanding the problem, there is no use to it. You first need to understand the problem, then go on, think of many ideas, select the best ideas, and then implement the idea and improve the idea. Now, my friend Ashutosh will continue the stakeholder mapping.
Can you guys say me any problem that you face in daily life? That's one of the greatest problems that we all face. The people who face problems in daily life are known as stakeholders. On the basis that the problem affects the stakeholders are divided into 3 types: direct stakeholders, indirect stakeholders, and other stakeholders. Direct stakeholders are those people who get affected by the problem on daily basis and the problem causes inconvenience to them on a daily basis, on a regular interval. Indirect stakeholders are the people who get indirectly affected in such a way that the problem affects them in an irregular cycle of work. Other stakeholders are people like you guys, you people who face a problem, understand and solve it. Problem solvers like you are known as other stakeholders because they see the problem and try to solve it. When you argue, the way you introduce an idea can be more modified with the help of a stakeholder. It consists of 3 concentrating circles. The first interior circle is the direct stakeholders. The second one is the indirect stakeholders. Third one is the other stakeholders. Suppose you have a problem, like as the region said that he has the problem of water shortage. Can anyone say any idea that could help him?
Scarcity of water is there. So whenever water comes, he could fill up buckets and keep them aside. electricity problem. By using less gadgets, we can save electricity. And also to harvesting so that the water is not
They can keep a borewell in their house at like say shortest 50 degrees and for the electric problem they can use the less energy for the or the gadget which they use in our
Those are great ideas. But the way you understand things are efficient is by the stakeholders. The first direct stakeholders, when you introduce an idea, as of the range of what I'm understanding, we see that if we practice it, how does it affect the stakeholders? Does it solve the problem? Does it even help the indirect stakeholders? Does it?
Yes.
Other stakeholders? Does it?
Yes.
That's good. When you introduce such an idea which has a good stakeholder review, you can use and interview stakeholders who face the problem. Interviewing them gives you the defects, merits and demerits of the project. After the most people say the interview questions asked are, I give you two examples. If you ask that whether this project is good or not, that's one question, and give your opinion about the project. Which one is the better? First one or second? People who raise their hand for second one. First one. People who chose the second option was correct because when you ask a question, it has to a stakeholder and he has to give both the demerit and merit of the project that he thinks about it. If you ask a question like whether you like it or not, the most likely answer is that he would say positively about it. So we have to see that the questions that we ask are also appropriate. After getting the reviews from the stakeholders, we observe and experience this and form proper ideas. How much my friendship of it?
Giving an idea. After all these steps, we arrive at an idea. An idea is the concept by which the problem is solved. So you can have many ideas in your daily life. Maybe you think of them without being conscious that it is actually an idea. There are that many ideas and that many ideas that you think. So the first idea is the open ideation. So you must be open to every idea. You must be open to every opinion, concept, everything. If you are not open to every single opinion, then you will not be able to solve the problem. Because maybe if you solve the problem for only the opinions of few people, like let's take the direct stakeholders, then you might not be able to solve the problem of the indirect stakeholders and even the others. After that, what if? You must always have a good imagination in order to give ideas. No idea is a bad idea for problem solving. Then brainstorming. Brainstorming is thinking about an idea. Thinking about it constantly, trying to improve it, the ambition to improve it, and then selecting an idea. You might get many ideas, like extremely many. Out of all of those, the best idea that you think is appropriate to solve the problem is the step of selecting an idea. Let's make ideas. So after you have selected an idea, now you have to fabricate it. You have to make it in real life. So how do you do that? By making it and how do you make it? There are three basic steps. Drawing, commitment, and prototype. These three are the main. But it is also true. The most common is the prototype. Drawing is a blueprint of it. Our prototype is how the user will use it in their life. And all of it is just the same story. So, think of it as a way. And the input concept before you are going to so you can just realize that you are simulations for the next and after that, so what do we find? What materials do we find? You can assemble in a daily habit. Thank you.
3, 2, 1, start.
So what do you think about your project?
Yeah, I have learned how to solve a problem, how to find a problem which is suitable for me. And my problem is helpful for everyone or only for my state people or for the whole India or for the whole world.
మీ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ చేయడం ఇంకా మీ అభిప్రాయాన్ని తెలియజేస్తారా?
నేను ఈ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ నుంచి ఒక ప్రాబ్లమ్ని ఎలా సాల్వ్ చేయాలి
विचार देना चाहेंगे?
इस तरह से मैंने ये सीखा कि हमें आइडिया को कैसे सॉल्व करना चाहिए और उसकी जो भी उसके तहत क्वेश्चन उसको सॉल्व करना चाहिए और जो भी आइडिया पहले हमें चाहिए होता है उसको सॉल्व करने के लिए प्रॉब्लम चाहिए होती है और प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग को बहुत अच्छे से करना चाहिए. I have a doubt. What is the major difference between problem solving and taking idea, choosing ideas?
Taking ideas is basically the action of just thinking about what can be done. Problem solving is actually doing the work, not only just thinking, actually doing it. So a problem solver is both at the same time, both an idea thinker and a problem solver.
And you might get many ideas, but a selective one idea will only solve the problem completely.
How can I understand that my idea is helpful to me or the listener?
You can understand this by the stakeholder map. And you can, the idea that you give can also be verified by the stakeholders. How does everything in stakeholders in their stakeholders?
And you can interview these people and know their views on the problem in order to implement
To make it more efficient.
Namaste everyone. So today I am going to explain the concept of gravity well and how does it work. So basically the concept of a gravity well is that of converting gravitational potential energy into actual usable energy. So the gravity well is based upon the Bhaskara's wheel perpetual motion method. Bhaskara was an ancient mathematician of India who designed the Bhaskara's wheel, which basically rotates forever if given a slight push. Based on this rotation, this machine converts it into energy. So basically, when one of the liquids in one of the compartments is pushed down, so it basically pushes the other liquid, and there is an infinite loop of this happening again and again and again. So that's how it produces energy by rotation. Now, the rotation itself will not produce much of energy. So this rotational energy is then channeled into a gearbox, which increases the RPM, rotation per minute, of the wheel and converts it to real energy.
As we all know that gravitation is constant everywhere and carries gravitational potential energy. This potential energy, as Ashutosh explained, is the potential energy reaches the maximum height of the ground, of the project. So, it is this gravitational potential energy, when it is spin to the side, this continuously spins and it can be converted into usable energy. And also it can make infinite energy source. When we implement this idea, there could be energy everywhere and anywhere in the world. And also, if the Earth is alright, it can be working just fine. This electricity can also never be cut off due to fluctuations or as we face daily problems. The generator does not work normally. The solar energy can't be used during the night. These are the problems that we face with normal electricity these days. But this energy is there is no fluctuation because gravitational energy is working on it. And also the energy supply will also be very reliable because the spinning will make the generator continuously rotate because the gravitational energy is constant. And also everyone could get electricity no matter the place where they live or no matter where they are. And also this project does not produce any byproducts. And anybody of you know what byproducts mean?
Maybe natural products.
Implemented. Like take coal. When you burn a coal, what is produced? Carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide, there's some ashes left. The ashes. Those ashes and the gas is produced is very harmful to the nature. This project does not leave any residue when the energy is produced, and also it is safe to the environment. And it protects the environment with as there is no air, noise pollution or land pollution. It is operated on its Earth's gravity as its fuel. Also the upper part of the project is that it can be constructed in a short amount of time, and also it needs a small area and requires less maintenance rather than the big mill, as it is very big and needs a lot of maintenance. If any one screw is lost, it can never be it is very hard to reconstruct it. So this project, if anything is broken or it is damaged, it is very easy to fix. We can fix this in our houses. And also it can be constructed anywhere and everywhere in the world. That is the project. And also this pie chart tells us about the energy produced by the energy we use daily. The coal is the first coal we use coal the mostly, and hydroelectricity is the second electricity, and solar is the third, wind is the fourth, and nuclear is the last source of energy. So these are the daily sources of energy that we use in our day-to-day life.
Namaste everyone. Today I am going to explain how our project Gravity Mill works. So the Gravity Mill works on the concept of gravitational potential energy. The gravitational potential energy conserved in the liquids in these bottles are converted into real energy when it is supplied into a gearbox. So basically, when these bottles are half full, they allow one of the bottles to go down and another to come up simultaneously, which creates an infinite cycle of rotation and thus giving us energy. Now this energy can't really be used as fuel in our day-to-day lives because the RPM is extremely slow. So it is transferred into a gearbox which trifolds or even tetrafolds it many times, which produces energy and we can use it.
As we know that we require electricity to do pretty much anything in our daily life. But the unreliability of this electric energy is a cause in our day-to-day life. For example, solar panels do not work properly during night, and as the direction of wind is not certain and continuous, the windmills are also unreliable. The advantages and the significance of this project is that this introduces a new eco-friendly way of generating electricity and requires less maintenance and does not require that much land to be built on. This as a result,
And what are the neighborhood, a person who has a PhD in physics and a mother, a stranger, a technician, an engineer, and they all take very good views of this project.
So, I'm going to explain about stakeholders. So, anyone of you know what is a stakeholder? Stakeholders are the people who face the problems in day-to-day life. In the world, the people who face the problem due to electricity cuts and power shortages are everyone in the world. They are known as direct stakeholders. So, the electricity problems are only faced by the people in the world. So, only this project has the direct stakeholders. There are no indirect stakeholders or the other stakeholders. So, if we implement this project, the stakeholders will have not to face the problem. Like the bill shortages went very low, and the energy does not depend on any natural sources like coal, wind, and solar energy. So for this, the maintenance is very less, and the cost it is very cost efficient. It can be built anywhere and everywhere in the world, and gravitational energy is constant everywhere. And stakeholders will get the opportunity to have the electricity whenever they want, and also they can use this project with only one push of their hand, and continually rotate for its rest of its life in a loop.
What would happen if the gravity of a place is too strong and the wheel just starts spinning like crazy?
So your doubt is valid, but this is just a prototype of the real thing. The real thing will have a lot more structural integrity and will stand obviously. And if the RPM is more, then it will just profit the user. It will just profit us because the energy it produces will be tenfold.
as we know that we require electricity to do pretty much anything in our daily life. To on the lights, we require electricity. To on the fan, we require electricity. Nowadays, even the automobiles and vehicles are also run on electricity. But the unreliability of these present electrical sources put a pause to our daily life. For example, solar energy does not work that efficiently during night, as the direction of wind is not continuous and it is unstable and uncertain. The windmills are all electricity generated by windmills is also unreliable. This is a gravity mill. As we know that any object from a height, from a reference point has maximum potential energy. This liquid is from a reference point, which in this case is the ground, has maximum potential energy, and as we move due to the light force, this gravitational potential energy is converted into magnetic energy. As we know that this is because energy is interconvertible and the total amount of energy is always constant. As this moves down, the other compartments, including the liquid, also gets moved because of the same reason, and it goes on forever. With the help of gears, we can convert this into electricity. The importance and significance of this project is that this is a new and exciting way of generating generating eco-friendly electricity as it uses no fossil fuels for its working and can operate in any condition until the Earth is fine. That is, that Earth is able to pull or attract objects towards itself. That possess gravity. It also is a reliable source because it can work in climatic conditions. It requires less maintenance and most probably is reliable.